Welcome to Character Creation Showdown, where the dice decide what characters we build. Two contestants will race against the clock to build the best character, and when time runs out, their creations will be tested to see whose character reigns supreme. Good luck to our contestants, and may the best build win. Your character will be a level 9 sustained damage goblin, half or third spellcaster that cannot multi-class. With that in mind, you have the next 30 minutes to build a level 9 character.
Right at the start of the challenge, I opened up every possible option. My first thought was to go Eldritch Knight Fighter because of the bonus action attack, but I've been playing a Paladin for so long, I figured I might as well stick to what I know the most. I knew one of the Paladin subclasses had access to good basic spells, like stuff like Hunter's Mark, and noticed that it gets access to Haste. This subclass was Oath of Vengeance. I was happy to also get access to Permanent Advantage through the use of the Channel Divinity with my bonus action. My feats was where I struggled the most. I knew I was going to take Great Weapon Master as my first choice, but really struggled to choose my second one. Looking back and talking to Jonathan, I realized Polearm Master was by far the best choice for the second one, but I decided to go with Piercer to get a little extra damage in hopes of also getting a juicy crit. I went with the pike as my weapon to get D10 piercing damage, and the main strategy is to walk in, use haste as my first action, get the extra action attack, and hope my warhorse survives as I smite as many times as possible before I lose concentration to haste.
My initial thoughts were that the half-casters were going to be better, so I started off taking a look at Paladin, Artificer, and Ranger. We decided on doing 5 rounds for sustained damage characters, so I immediately started looking at Paladin and Battlesmith Artificer, knowing that I would be able to use either Divine Smite or Arcane Jolt on most of my attacks. I then decided Paladin was likely better because the Steel Defender requires a bonus action to command, while on the Paladin I could take Polearm Master and just attack with my bonus action. The next decision was the subclass. I narrowed it down to 3 subclasses I thought could be good. The Oath of Vengeance could be good if we were going against one powerful creature, but we don't know how many creatures we'll be fighting while we're building our characters. I also liked the Oathbreaker because it increased my damage whether I was going against one enemy or multiple enemies. And then my last choice was the Oath of the Crown, simply because it gets access to Spirit Guardians, which we all know is great for multi-target damage. I ended up going with Oathbreaker as it was okay in terms of damage, but it was good in both of the possible situations. My tactics in battle will be going in, casting Spirit Shroud to boost my damage, and then attacking as many times as I can, flanking with my steed from Fine Steed if possible.
For a sustained damage build, each character will individually fight an identical random creature for a total of 5 rounds, attempting to deal as much damage as possible in that time. The creature has infinite hit points and has a challenge rating equal to the character's level. The player to deal the most damage in the specified time wins. So make sure to stay to the end of the video to see whose build comes out on top. Now that our players have completed their builds, it's time for our players to enter the arena and prove their character's worth. Each character will step through an archway into the arena, entering a mountaintop graveyard, with surroundings boasting extraordinary gardens and towering ornate tombstones. Despite the gloom of the night, the moon's radiant glow bathes the scene in an ethereal luminance, providing ample visibility for our contestants. The desolate soundscape is dominated by the haunting howls of the wind, serving to intensify the already eerie atmosphere of the area. A light fog clings to their characters' ankles as a cobblestone path guides their steps towards the center of the battleground. Up first will be Lucas, playing a level 9 Goblin Paladin. Equipped with a pike and splint mail, along with taking the Great Weapon Master and Piercer feats, Lucas certainly appears to be a fine-tuned machine ready to take on any opponent that dares to get in his way. Lucas makes it 20 feet before he notices his opponent appear, a cloud giant ghost hovering 15 feet in the air at the opposite end of the arena. A shrieking battle cry erupts from the cloud giant ghost and immediately becomes aggressive towards Lucas, as the ghost is the protector of the graveyard and shows no mercy to trespassers. Roll initiative. Lucas rolls a 9 and the cloud giant ghost rolls a natural 1. Lucas will go first for this combat. Round 1. Lucas begins by using half his movement to mount his horse and then proceeds to close the distance on the cloud giant ghost by using his horse's movement. Upon arrival, he stands on his horse and uses his action to cast haste on himself. And as a bonus action, he expends his Channel Divinity to use Vow of Enmity to gain advantage against the cloud giant ghost. Using his hasted action, Lucas will attack with Great Weapon Master, using his pike with a 13 to hit. The Cloud Giant Ghost sees the attack and easily avoids Lucas's strike, bringing an end to Lucas's turn. Seeing its chance for attack, the Cloud Giant Ghost uses its wind howl, forcing Lucas and his horse to make a Constitution saving throw as it produces a dreadful howl. With a 21, Lucas succeeds, but his horse is not so lucky with a 9 as a biting cold wind tears through the two of them. Lucas takes 10 cold damage, remaining largely unscathed, and the horse takes 21 cold damage, immediately dying from the frigid blast. Lucas does everything in his power to focus on his haste spell, but after getting hit by the freezing wind, it is too much for him to bear as he loses concentration on haste. As his faithful steed disappears, Lucas begins to fall, making and succeeding a dexterity acrobatics check to not fall prone. Round 2. Sticking the landing, Lucas squares up to his enemy, ready to attack. However, with the effects of haste wearing off after losing concentration, a feeling of fatigue falls over him as he loses his turn. Seeing this as an opportunity to strike, the Cloud Giant Ghost moves down 5 feet and makes 2 spectral weapon attacks against Lucas and his dazed estate. The first attack is a 21 to hit, successfully hitting Lucas with 18 force damage. Its second attack easily hits with a 27 to hit, dealing 20 force damage. Seeing that both of its attacks hit true, it ends its turn. Round 3. As the 2 strikes hit Lucas, it snaps him out of his stupor and puts his mind back into battle. Lucas casts Spirit Shroud as a bonus action and begins making attacks with his weapon using Great Weapon Master, missing his first attack entirely. However, though things may have seemed bleak for our hero, Lucas digs deep and is able to hit with a 21 with his second attack, expending a second level spell slot to Divine Smite, dealing 37 damage. The damage that Lucas dealt angers the Cloud Giant Ghost more and retaliates with 2 more spectral weapon attacks, hitting with a 22 on its first attack and dealing 20 force damage. Lucas once again fights to maintain his composure and keep his concentration up on Spirit Shroud, but to no avail as Spirit Shroud drops. The Cloud Giant Ghost swings down with its second attack, hitting with a 20 and dealing 20 force damage. With this final strike, Lucas's body crumples to the ground from the crushing blow. The Cloud Giant Ghost floats menacingly as it waits to see if it finished the job. Round 4. As Lucas struggles to cling to life so that he can stay in the fight, he attempts a death saving throw, rolling a 7 and locking in his first failed death saving throw. Noticing Lucas's life force dwindling, the Cloud Giant Ghost aims to secure Lucas a quick death as it makes a final slash, killing Lucas on the spot. The graveyard falls silent as a soul is claimed, and the Cloud Giant Ghost returns to its eternal sentry. Next up is Jonathan, playing as a level 9 Goblin Paladin. Along with taking the Great Weapon Master and Polearm Master feats, Jonathan looks ready to take on any challenge that he comes up against. Jonathan makes it 20 feet before he notices his opponent, a Cloud Giant Ghost, appear, hovering 15 feet in the air at the opposite end of the arena. Roll initiative. Jonathan rolls a 15 and the Cloud Giant Ghost rolls an 8. Jonathan will go first for this combat. Round 1. Jonathan starts the combat off by following a similar strategy as Lucas by climbing on his horse, running to the Cloud Giant Ghost, and standing on top of his horse. However, that's where the similarities end, as Jonathan casts Spirit Shroud as a bonus action, choosing Radiant as the damage type, and begins making his attacks with his halberd. Jonathan swings wide with a natural 1 to hit, completely missing the Cloud Giant Ghost. Squaring his shoulders, he makes his second attack, and this attack also misses with another natural 1. Though both attacks miss, Jonathan stands his ground, not ready to give up the fight just yet. Seeing the first strikes against itself fail, the Cloud Giant Ghost attempts to lock his combatant down by emitting a blood-curdling howl and using its wind howl against Jonathan and his horse, forcing them both to make Constitution saving throws. The cold nips at Jonathan as he stands strong, taking 12 cold damage. However, his horse is blindsided by the icy wind, taking 24 cold damage and dying instantly at the hands of the Cloud Giant Ghost. Jonathan seeks vengeance for the death of his horse, consuming his reaction to cast Hellish Rebuke. The Cloud Giant Ghost rolls a 13 on its dexterity saving throw, failing to avoid attack and taking 7 fire damage. Staggered by the damage, the Cloud Giant Ghost shakes it off and prepares itself for the next round of damage coming its way. Jonathan's horse disappears from underneath him as it dies, forcing Jonathan to make a dexterity acrobatics skill check to avoid falling prone. Unfortunately, Jonathan is unable to catch his balance and ends up laying on the ground. However, even after enduring the bone-chilling call of the Cloud Giant Ghost, Jonathan is able to maintain his concentration on Spirit Shroud. Round 2. Jonathan quickly gets back to his feet, ready to engage with the fight once again. He puts his polearm in his left hand and throws 2 javelins at the Cloud Giant Ghost. His first javelin attack he sends aloft is too high and misses its mark. Sure not to make the same mistake again, Jonathan launches a second javelin, and with a 22 to hit, strikes exactly where he needs it to, dealing 11 piercing damage as he channels his Fury of the Small at his enemy. Jonathan finishes his turn by using his bonus action to harness Divine Power to gain a spell slot back. Shocked at the sudden turn of events, the Cloud Giant Ghost charges in and attempts to retaliate with 2 spectral weapon attacks. Before it can make his attacks, however, Jonathan reacts to its charge by making a Polearm Master opportunity attack with a 20, successfully hitting the Cloud Giant Ghost. Having access to the Great Weapon fighting style allows him to reroll a 2 into a 9, dealing a total of 49 radiant and slashing damage with Fury the Small and a 2nd level Divine Smite. The Cloud Giant Ghost accepts the challenge and makes its first attack, missing with a 16 as Jonathan is deftly able to avoid the strike. The second attack, however, meets its mark perfectly with a 30 to hit, dealing 24 force damage, with a little help from Jonathan's Aura of Hate. The Cloud Giant Ghost will then fly just out of Jonathan's reach, eager to see what Jonathan will bring on this next round. Round 3. Seeing the Cloud Giant Ghost move out of melee, Jonathan readies his javelins and lets them fly. His first attack falls short, missing his target with an 11 to hit. Noticing this failure as a chance to redeem himself, Jonathan throws another javelin at the Cloud Giant Ghost, this time hitting true with a 25. Channeling all the fury that his small goblin body can possess, he unleashes a brutal 9 piercing damage at the Cloud Giant Ghost, standing ready to attack his foe again. As the Cloud Giant Ghost moves into dispatch of its opponent, Jonathan takes advantage of the opportunity and uses his reaction and attempts to make an attack with his polearm. However, this attack swings wide and misses. The Cloud Giant Ghost is unfazed at this feeble attempt to fight back and makes 2 more spectral weapon attacks. The attacks slash right into Jonathan with a 22 to hit and a 21 to hit, respectively. Both strikes collectively deal 60 force damage to Jonathan, once again with both of those attacks getting a small boost to damage from Jonathan's Aura of Hate. As the final swing of its spectral weapon cleaves into Jonathan, our intrepid hero falls to the ground to begin making death saving throws. Round 4. As the battlefield briefly falls silent from the sounds of war, Jonathan digs deep and reaches into the last ounce of strength that he can muster, and rolls a successful death saving throw. Attempting to fight his aches and pains from battle, all Jonathan can hope for is that his enemy misses all of his attacks or takes pity on his soul. With reckless abandon, the Cloud Giant Ghost sees that his enemy is down and charges in to finish off his opponent. The attacks easily slice into Jonathan, killing him as his blood flows out upon the cold dead ground. Seeing the intruder is dealt with appropriately, the Cloud Giant Ghost returns to his guard as death claims 1 more soul on this fateful day. As the dust settles in both arenas, a clear winner emerges. Jonathan deftly secures his victory over Lucas for being able to deal the most damage over the course of 5 rounds. Let us know whose build you think is better in the comments below. If the video is live, you can click here to watch what our players build next. Thanks for watching.